Okay, so I'm in the woods now. Yes, in the woods. The reason I'm in the woods is because I am actually getting at 955 cat. So any of you guys that have been on my Instagram, you see that there's a photo of the 955 cat on there, that it is to be loaded up and it is going to be coming my direction. Well, what does that have to do with this woods, you say? Well, I'm going to tell you. This woods never was always a woods. It was actually pasture land when my great-grandparents came here back in 1925. In 1925, this was, it was, like I just said, it was pasture land. Well, back in 1925 and 30s and in that area of time, they didn't know much about erosion, and nor did they care, I don't think. They really didn't give a damn. So what happened was, when they settled, not my grandparents, but when they settled these areas here in the United States, formerly the colonies of England, Spain, and France, they just burned it. They burned it all off. They clear-cut the old timber and they burned everything. I mean, they just set it on fire, causing Indians to leave these areas and head to the west, because, you know, the Indians actually did inhabit the East Coast pretty heavily. The Lenape Indians were here. So this brings me to these washouts, like this washout right here. You can't really get the scope of it until I get down in here, but I'm going to get down in here. And this soil is pretty deep down here because, as you know, dirt runs downhill. Well, they farmed it like settlers farmed anything. They plowed it, they worked it, they planted it, rains came, washed it, and what happens is you start getting these erosion ditches and washouts and stuff in your fields. So what they did is the cattle started leaving the area, or there was no need for cattle when they settled the west, and trains were developed, and they could move cattle in high numbers instead of driving them with horses and stuff. They just put them on train cars and shipped them back east to be exported or wherever they had to go. So the pasture land turned into cropland. The cropland gave way to erosion ditches and whatnot. So they just abandoned it. And what did we end up with? We ended up with valleys that are now trees. As you can see, my neighbor's property there that has fields in it. And there's a woodlot up there where the same thing happened there that happened here, which caused them to abandon it. Well, if you look up there, there is a fence line or an erosion ditch line there that comes down across this field. And there's a small 2-acre field there, if it's 2 acres. And then there's a 5 or 6 acre field to the right. Well, that small 2-acre field used to be the whole thing. And then, of course, the erosion ditch from up above came here. Well, what happened back in the early 80s was our wonderful government decided to actually help out some of the farmers. And they gave us money to put in terraces to slow down that waterway. And of course, over time we learned that grass strips were a good thing to stop erosion. And you don't plow grass strips, and what happens is the silt or the washed dirt, the runoff or the erosion, was slowed down and slowly built up in the grass strips, which actually filled in the ditches over time. Now I'll walk up here and show you. Well, here's an example of that right here. You can probably not even see it, but there is an old wash where maybe a plow furrow had come down along the edge of the big washout. And what I'm going to show you is, over time, the trees grew up in here in this erosion ditch and has caused the silt or the dirt, the washed out dirt and the water to slow down, and the root masses from the trees right here have actually filled in what used to be all rocks. When I was a kid, these trees weren't as big as what they are, obviously. I cut a lot of these trees out of here. The bigger, older trees when I was in my 20s and late teens, and sold a lot of firewood out of here. But now, of course, the saplings, they've grown up into the field, and, you know, it's crowding that little tiny field there. So here's my plan, and yes, I have a plan. My plan is to remove these trees. Okay? Yeah, I'm gonna remove these trees. All of them. There's junk up in there that was thrown in there by a fellow by the name of Bill White. No, not Bill White, the baseball player, but Bill White, the truck driver. And there's just a bunch of shit that got thrown in the ditch, which is pretty normal for farm sites to throw junk in ditches. So what I'm going to do is when that 955 comes, I'm going to cut all these trees out of here. And I'm going to actually fill in this ditch. And I'm going to make like a catch basin style terrace system. So I'm going to pull dirt from down below. I'm going to pull it all the way back up the hill with that 955. I'm going to fill in this ditch, move all these trees, probably throw all these saplings and stuff down in that hole and then bury it. And make the terraces, get everything where it needs to be, nice and level, so that instead of having a 4 or 5 acre field and a 2 acre field, I have a 5, 6, 7, 8 acre field, because there's about an acre of trees and bushes here. Plus I'm going to take out that upper fence line up there and open that all into, there's a fence line up there which is terraced already, so that'll take that other 8 acre field, put 8, and then I'll have 16 acres of field instead of just 3, an 8 acre, a 5 acre, and a 2 acre. So I have 16, 17, probably 18 acres of field for hay. I'm not going to grow anything but hay, which brings me to the lack of erosion because of the grass strips that will be in here. Now, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring some rocks up from down below. There's a bunch of rocks that have washed out of these ditches over the years, and they're deposited at the top of the bigger stream that's down below. So I'll bring those up in here and put those in the bottom, and that will slow down the erosion. So anyways, that's the plan. Hopefully it comes to fruition, and it should once I get that 955 unseized and that whole they left the air cleaner open and water got down into the piston, so I'm pretty sure that I can unseize it. If not, I'll pull the cylinder and sleeve, the sleeve and the piston out and put a new rod, everything down in there if I have to get the thing going again. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, and look forward to this project. And whoever is texting me, I would just love to smack them upside the head. You know who you are, because you're driving me fucking crazy. But anyways, thanks again.